So this is an example of a Wenning warm-up protocol that I would go through, or that I'm going to go through before a lower body dynamic effort session. So the Wenning warm-up protocol was developed by powerlifter Matt Wenning, who, world record holder. I think he was one of the only people, or I don't know if he's still the only person. I would have to look that up to hold world records in raw with wraps and equipment. But anyways, overall, really good powerlifter, and highly recommend looking into his stuff. Finding him on his YouTube account, whatever, and learning from him. I've gone and seen him at Swiss before and had conversations with him, and definitely a lot of very, very valuable information that he has. So anyways, the Wenning warm-up protocol, it's basically what I've taken away from it is that it's normally 3 movements, 2 kind of accessory movements, or what I would call accessory movements, which are more single joint movements designed to hit weak points and weak muscle groups that you want to bring up, and then 1 prime movement, or more of a big compound movement, but that's still like low complexity and low skill, that mimics the primary movement of the workout today. So for this example, I'm really hitting my hamstrings and my glutes, obviously with the lying banded hamstring curl, and then the single leg back extension. And then what I'm doing is I'm front squatting today, so I'm doing some slant board squats to kind of mimic that more upright position that I'm going to be in while I'm squatting, exaggerate that a little bit more, and get a lot of blood flow into my quads and my knees to make sure that they're all ready to front squat. There you go. I'm saying goodbye to Rick's dad over there. He's leaving for the day, so bye, Mike. See ya. Have a good day. Now, a lot of people like to either skip a warm-up or kind of move through it without really any intent, because they don't see any sort of benefit, or they don't see what they could be getting out of the warm-up. So really, a lot of the times the warm-up is just like, oh, we're bench pressing for today, I'm going to start with the bar. Now, there's definitely some ways that can work. You can do things like, oh, I'm going to start with the bar, and then I'm going to see how my joints are feeling, and then I'm going to go back and warm up the things that need to be warmed up because they might be feeling a little funky, and then go back to the bar, see how it feels, right? So there's definitely protocols, and I'm not saying that it's just totally bad just to start with the bar, even though I think for most cases people aren't really proficient enough in working out to actually understand what they're doing there. But anyways, kind of getting off on a tangent. The purpose of that tangent is that they don't really see the benefit of warming up. So some of the benefits of warming up is we're going to increase blood flow to the joint. We're going to increase localized heat. We're going to increase that localized heat is going to kind of warm up the synovial fluid in our joints, which is what kind of feeds the cartilage that is actually in the joint capsule itself. So that's super important. We can start to mobilize some of the substrates that we're going to actually need to produce energy for a workout, like carbohydrates and fats. Because of this overall increased blood flow, we're going to start to move those around our system a little bit more, and bring those to the muscle to actually produce some energy to contract, or energy for muscular contraction. Along that line, we're going to kind of increase our sympathetic nervous system activity, which is kind of like our fight or flight nervous system. And kind of, again, along those lines, it's just going to kind of start to get our mind ready. There's definitely some days where, working out might feel a little bit tough, might feel like a little bit of a chore, maybe because you've got some fatigue from other workouts that has accumulated, but you still need to get this workout in because it's part of the program, etc. So it's just going to kind of start to get your mind right. So kind of just some general effects that you would get from a good workout. Now, for this specific protocol, Matt Wenning has specific reasons he developed this protocol, and we'll kind of start to get into those. So first off, the sets and reps for everything is 4 sets of 25. So the reason why it's such high reps is to make sure that it almost force you to use lightweight. So it's really going to be very, like, again, lightweight, banded exercises, maybe some body weight exercises, things that you can move through kind of without taking a break. You might be starting to get a little bit of a pump towards the end, and you can still feel like a decent contraction. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat meowing in the background, but sometimes she's a menace over here. But so you can get a decent contraction, but you are trying to move through those 4 sets of 25 without really taking a break. Like me, the only break being the transition time between the exercises. And you want that whole thing not to really last more than like 12-15 minutes. I think this whole thing takes me about 10 minutes, and that's in a really good sweet spot between 10 and 15 minutes. If it's taking longer than that, you probably need to like decrease the skill requirement of the exercise, maybe move some things closer to each other so it's less transition time, or you're just, in really bad shape, which is another reason why Matt actually developed this protocol. It's very good for GPP. This is a really great way for a lifter to actually get some cardiovascular training, increase their work capacity, and develop that general physical preparation. So that's pretty cool. Now, the reason why I'm starting with the accessory movements is that that kind of increases that blood flow, gets that core body temperature up, and that kind of makes that like last compound movement, so in this case the slant board squats, feel a little bit better. But this also kind of goes off of the concept of post-activation potentiation. So once a muscle contracts for a little bit of time, those nerves are more sensitive to contracting again. So basically, once you fire a nerve, it's more sensitive to being able to fire again if it's not like fully fatigued, right? So that's an important part of it. It's not that, we're going all out and then totally frying out that part of the nervous system and then asking it to do something again. What we're doing is, we're just kind of touching it, letting the body know that, hey, we're going to need this amount of force production because we're going to start to use these motor units, so we're going to need some force production capabilities. And then your body goes, okay, I know I'm going to be needing this. If I need it again, I'm more ready to use it. So we're kind of doing that for the weak points. Again, so hamstrings are a very common weakness. My glutes are a little bit imbalanced. Like I can definitely have a little bit more mobility and strength in my right one than my left one. So that's why I'm doing this single leg back extension to make sure that I can actually emphasize each side of my glutes. And then when you're doing a single leg protocol like that, you do 12 reps each side just to kind of keep the time close to the time requirements. If you did 25 each side, again, that would probably be too much and a little bit unnecessary. And then again, since I was doing the front squats today, that's why I picked the slant board squats that closely mimics that movement. So this warm-up protocol is actually going to increase the volume that we actually get on our weak points, because this is the warm-up, it's not like these reps don't count. I'm still getting let me do the math, 48 single leg back extensions each side. I'm still getting 100 banded hamstring curls, and I'm getting 100 body weight squats. So like, that's a lot of work and that's a lot of volume, and all of that is just also going to get me better. Those are reps that I'm getting done. So you can also kind of take that those accessories off the back end of your workout if you need to, like especially if you're pressed for time, you want to get your workout in under an hour or something like that. Then like now I don't need to do a knee flexion exercise or a hip extension exercise if I don't have the time or maybe don't necessarily want to. So again, while this is great for kind of warming up the muscles, getting that post-activation potentiation effect so it can get those motor units firing, these high reps is also really good for connective tissue. So getting a good pump and really increasing that blood flow to the connective tissue is one way that you can start to get that connective tissue thicker, and take care of the health of your joints. Because we do a lot of things for muscle, but we also need to take into mind the adaptations that we get for our connective tissue, so that the strength of our connective tissue can keep up with the strength of our muscles. So don't just skip the warm-up. Take all of these things into consideration and make sure you're getting the best out of your workout that you can.